Joe Burrow is back with the Bengals as he led them to a victory on Thanksgiving night, and now they get to travel to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 14 matchup and provide our predictions at the end. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, let us know who you think is going to win, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, get notified when new videos come out. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's see if we can make that possible. And Ryan, let's get into it here. Joe
Let's do it.
Burrow, it was maybe a little rusty to start, but I will say once that second half came around, it didn't look like he missed a beat at all, and this was all without T. Higgins as well too. Props to the Cincinnati Bengals. The AFC North now is even getting more interesting because the Ravens and Steelers are looks like they're relearning how to play football, while the Bengals offense is still, still one of the best offenses in the league still.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be an amazing game here because the Bills defense can they played well against the Pittsburgh Steelers today, but most defenses do well against the Steelers offense. But I think that this Bills defense can give up some yards, and you're having two superstars go at it with a lot of playoff implications on the line. Josh Allen, 26-7 victory over the Steelers today. They go to 8-4 on the season, and pretty much for the Bengals, the wild card's out of play here. This is all for the division. The way the Ravens and Steelers are playing, they're technically in the wild card hunt, but they're 2 games back from the Bills, who are the 7th seed if the playoffs were held today. So pretty much the AFC North is going to be the division winner gets in. While for the Bills, still fighting with your Patriots a little bit for the division. Big game coming up here in Week 15, but they're probably fighting for a wild card spot, especially with the Patriots schedule remaining. Ryan, what are your overall thoughts on the Bills, especially being a Patriots fans? You follow them closely. And especially, too, what do you think of Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and what do you think they need to do to pull off the upset, keep their playoff hopes alive this week?
Yeah. So starting off with the Bills, the Bills are a good team. I know like they've had some rough patches in this season, and yeah, I still think they're a really solid team. Josh Allen, when he's playing well, is the best quarterback in football, in my opinion. And I think this offensive line, when they get going downhill and this running game is going really well. We saw today, like they ran for 250 yards on the Steelers. And like that's a very big threat. I still question their receiving options overall, especially with Dalton Kincaid. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury all year. I'm really curious to kind of see what what they're able to do down the stretch in terms of the passing game, because Josh Allen can really only do so much, and with some of these receiving options, sometimes he has to force things, and I feel like that's when he starts to make some of those mistakes. And so for me, I think the Bills are a really good running team, and they have a okay to good. I know they have a good defense statistically, but I feel like at times they're a little bit overrated. Um, just because a lot of the games they've been in have been relatively low scoring. And I think you look at some of their other performances against like true passing teams, and like I think they're the number one passing defense in the league right now. And I don't feel like that's truly accurate based on how the season has gone. Um, Now to kind of get into Cincinnati with Joe Burrow being back, I do think that this team offensively is still top of the league. And especially if T. Higgins can come back from a concussion for this week, I think that's going to be really big for this offense. But then defensively, I've actually been impressed the last couple of weeks, some of the improvements that they've made on the defensive side of the ball. By no means are they going to rely on this defense to win a 13-10 like rock fight. But I do think that this defense, especially in that Ravens game, they were opportunistic with turnovers, forcing 5 of them. And they actually were getting some decent pressure on Lamar, and DJ Turner is having a really good season. The back end of this defense is starting to play a little bit better. They got some pass breakups in the last couple games as well. So overall, I think this Bengals team, like this is the best football they've been playing all year. And it was just the first game back with Joe Burrow. And for you said in the beginning, for them to win the division, they have to play perfect the rest of the year. And I think they know that. And so they're coming in to every single game
Yeah.
playing like it's a playoff game for them.
Well, and it's very doable for them. So they have this game. This is probably their toughest game left. But then they're host the Ravens, who they just beat. I think it's Miami. Arizona, and then Cleve. No,
I
yeah,
think
and
it's
then
Cleveland,
Cleveland.
yeah.
Yeah, the last week. So all games that are very winnable. And my thought when I was watching that Cincinnati team, and even two kind of leading up to the game of Joe Burrow coming back, I am by no means saying Joe Flacco is just as good as Joe Burrow. What I meant, like based off the offensive production, the way these games have been playing, Joe Flacco's skill set and his kind of gunslinger mentality, which is still kind of weird to say about Joe Flacco, fit really well into this offense. Joe Burrow coming back makes it that much better. But where this team is still going to win games is going to be this defense improving, and they have improved like moderately. They I still don't think they're great, but to your point though, I think they were opportunistic on the turnovers, and Joe Burrow's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think they were given a couple turnovers as well, like the tuck rule. They got lucky on the Isaiah Likely
Yeah,
fumble at
that's
the back
fair.
of the end zone. So not the tuck rule. I'm not saying it was a tuck rule. Everybody knows the fumble I'm talking about with Lamar Jackson doing like the pump fake, but then it's coming down.
Yeah,
Um,
which I do
it,
agree that was a
it,
fumble.
oh, I'm not saying it's not. Just things like that that I thought they were able to capitalize on. But I think the thing to me though that where it's just a fundamental shift is it felt like they were like, no, we're just going to put more pressure on you. Like we're just going to
Yeah.
we're not going to rush 3 or 4 every time because that has clearly now been unsuccessful. It's amazing it took them a season and a half to finally figure that out. But uh, it's going to be like, well, because worst case scenario, if you get an explosive touchdown, then that just means Joe Burrow and this offense can come back. Uh, um, it can come back and be out on the field. It's just because it is absurd now that their offensive line is playing a little bit better. Chase Brown really loved having Joe Burrow back. Um, they have all these different weapons here. I don't know how Buffalo's going to be able to slow down this offense. I'm not sure how most defenses are going to be able to slow down, but particularly Buffalo here as well. Joey Bosa hurt his hamstring, so I have to monitor his status overall going into this game here. But they're going to have to try and get a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow up the middle here, try and get him uncomfortable. Because I do think that's the one difference from Burrow versus Josh Allen. I think Burrow's is going to cause some comments here. He's going to be a little bit more of an accurate, more like pure pocket passer. But where Josh Allen, though, at another level that Joe Burrow doesn't have, it is Allen's running capabilities, and that's where I think the difference to me is the game is gonna come down to is I think Josh Allen's going to be allowed to be more Superman than Joe Burrow in this offense is, just because of how weak this Bengals defense still is. I think the Bengals are going to have to provide a bunch of pressure, contain Josh Allen as much as possible. But then on the flip side, though, too, they're going to have to somehow find a way to stop James Cook in this running game. And I don't know how they do both, unless if they're like, we're just going to put eight in the box and all out blitz every single time, because the Bills, they are struggling in the receiving room. But I I don't think they're going to be able to do that for a full 60 minutes. I'm not convinced yet on that from the Bengals team. And I think one of the goals with the Bills doing that, it was like, hey, run the ball a lot with James Cook, with Josh Allen, or when we have to throw, get Josh Allen out in space and allow him to make the decision. Because I think the Bengals are going to give him that opportunity. Um, and I think Josh Allen's going to get a lot of yards here. Then that's just going to keep Joe Burrow on the sideline for as long as possible. You don't want them coming out here trying to get any offensive rhythm or offensive momentum. I think it being at home helps out a lot. And that's how I think this game's going to go. I have Buffalo winning this game here. I bet James Cook's going to get over 100 rushing yards again. I'd probably even say over 120 as well too. I bet Josh Allen has under 200, but he's going to have 30 to 50 rushing yards as well too. Because I think the Bills, the way they're going to win this game is grinding it out and controlling the clock a lot. While then they're going to provide a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow. So I'm going to go with Buffalo here in this one. Could absolutely see it'd be wild if Joe Burrow came back and won, and then they got to host a playoff game and then make a playoff run, which would be absolutely wild to see here. But I think, unfortunately, though, I think it is too little, too late overall, and I think Buffalo is going to gain some momentum from this victory, this defensive performance, and is going to apply here in Cincinnati
Yeah. I
or against
definitely
Cincinnati. It's in Buffalo.
uh see I so I definitely think the game plan for Cincinnati is going to come in and be like, we cannot let them run the ball for 150 yards
Mhm.
and be like, we're just going to put 8 guys in the box and we're going to just play man with a single high safety at that point. And then if Josh Allen can play Superman and beat us for 4 quarters, I think that's fine. But I think ultimately the Bengals are going to be able to force a crucial turnover or two, and they're able to win a shootout here between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. And uh, I think it's going to be like 38-31. And the Bengals are going to come out on top. But ultimately, I think the Bengals are going to live and die by the sword for the rest of the season, just because they have to. They don't have a choice anymore to be
Yeah.
like, well, like let's try to play this possession game, and then maybe Joe Burrow can make one good drive at the end and win it for us. It's like they have to go out and they have to win these games. This defense is not good enough to play that way,
Yeah.
and if they are not scoring a lot of points and getting extra possessions, then they're going to lose. And I think they know it, and I think that's how they're going to have to play. And I think it'll work out in their favor in this game.
Yeah, it's almost like this Bengals team now is going to be playing the exact way we all thought Dallas, I guess, was playing, but was going to have to play the whole year. Now this
Yeah,
defense, the Dallas defense is coming along, especially thanks to the Quinn Williams trade. But yeah, I agree. I think Cincinnati has to win in a 38-31 shootout. While I think Buffalo's going to have the ability to grind it out, keep it lower scoring, and kind of do what they did here against Pittsburgh, especially if you go look at the second half. And now Pittsburgh defense, well, it's comparable stats wise to the Cincinnati Bengals team. But then if you go look at the play by play though, like some of these second half drives were just epic. Even their drive to end the first half, though, where they just ended up with a field goal, 16 plays, 60 yards, 7 minutes, 18 seconds off the clock. Same thing then as well here too. So they're the Bills' fourth quarter touchdown, 15 plays, 83 yards, 8:14 off the clock, and then their next drive,
yeah,
which they got the field goal, 14 plays, 72 yards, 9 minutes off the clock. Like they're able to do that, and I think they're going to be able to do that against Cincinnati. Like I think they're going to be able to hit
yeah.
James Cook 3-4 yards at a time. Honestly, I'm Josh Allen fantasy owner, and I'm expecting Josh Allen to not have too many points in this game.
My, my only rebuttal to that is they were able to get away with that because Pittsburgh does not have a competent offense. And this Cincinnati team, you can do that if you like if you're Buffalo and you want. But I think with Cincinnati's offense, Buffalo I feel like is going to have a little bit more pressure on them to score more points in this game than they did in the Pittsburgh game. Because Pittsburgh, let's face it, Pittsburgh has one of the worst offenses in football.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not disputing that. I think if Cincinnati's up at halftime, then fair. But if the Bills are going up in the halftime up a touchdown, and then let's say the Bengals get the ball, but then they're able to stop them and get and take a couple minutes off the clock. I wouldn't be surprised then too if you start off that second half and it is like, nope, we're going into our victory second half formation, which is hand the ball up or hand the ball to James Cook. Like we'll go
Yeah,
left one play, right the next play, and I just don't think Cincinnati's defensive line is going to be able to stop them. When we saw them in this Ravens game, though, when Derrick Henry got the ball, and this is where I don't see why the Ravens don't do this more often, but they had a tough time with when Derrick Henry got going downhill. I know he had 10 carries for 6 yards, and his long was of 28. Um, but it's Ravens offense is struggling a little bit. I think Joe Brady is going to call like a heavy run game plan against the Cincinnati Bengals team. So it's well to see. Now, to your point though, if the Bengals are up going in the second half, then Josh Allen's they're gonna have to find a way
yeah,
to let it fly. I
yeah,
agree with you there.
yeah. So it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this one as a resident Patriots fan and AFC East member. Uh, I'm rooting for Cincinnati. I'm also picking them to win this game. So, with that said, let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. You are taking the Bills. I'm taking the Bengals. If you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? Will it be the Buffalo Bills? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.